Welcome back, friends, to APAC North, our final matchup of this day and the Playday. And the entirety of the stage is upon us. All Japanese between Reject and Cyclops Athlete Gaming. Let's break it down the way we always do. Welcome back to the desk. I'm Ostomatic. This is Fresh and Fabian. And Fabian, Cyclops have a shot today to hold on to their top 3 position.
They do. With Cyclops, it's always this, like, you don't really know what Cyclops is going to show up on the day.
No.
Either they're going to just smack Reached out of the server completely, or they're not. It sounds silly, right? But that's just the CAG we can see. Either they win with
50-50, 50-53.
Everything is just, yeah, you have no idea. Either they beat them super easily, or they just get flopped over. I don't know which way it's going to go today. I'm excited for the game because I like watching Reject play, but CAG, yeah, they're aggressive, individual, peaks a lot. That's all you kind of need to know.
The way that I see CAG is kind of an old-fashioned saying, but it's jack of all trades, master of none. Is that they want to be this ultra-flexible team, they want to have this ultra-flexible lineup where everyone can play everything, but because of that, they don't have a solid base or foundation. Which then means when it works, it looks great. When it doesn't, it looks horrible. And that's what we see. You know, you saw even on the graphs there. When they win, the graphs are really high. When they lose, the graphs are really low.
No, Jack, I compare them to 2 players that we have in our ranked stack. That's Creeds and Adrian. They always bait us. And that's kind of what CAG does to each other. They just bait each other. Well, and they all just peek. And then they're sitting there, look, I have most frags, but they baited all the frags.
So what you're saying is you're looking for a new stack because you just thrashed on the APAC show.
I mean, they're youngsters. They need to learn. Hopefully they'll learn eventually. After I screamed at them a few times.
He seems to be a loving father. Let's talk about Reject, though, on the other side, because this team, unfortunately for them, they lost the number 4 spot to Fnatic, so they actually have a lot to play for, despite this being their second stage in the league.
And that's the thing, Milosh, is number 4 spot, they've got to try and reclaim it back for SI points, because, you know, there is always a chance. And relegation, they're now in the relegation places, given that last win that we just saw. They've dropped down below Spear Gaming. So Reject are a team that impress people when you go and watch them, and I think that string of 3 wins together that you see in stage 2 there against Fnatic, Fav and Talon really says it all. Ultimately, Reject have only lost to kind of Sandbox and DK. Who doesn't lose to Sandbox DK? And then they slipped up against Spear last week, and I think that was the first time, probably, that Reject have gone into a game as favourites. And they didn't put in the best performance, but I'd say overall for the stage, it's an encouraging stage. Looking into stage 3, there'll be a lot of teams and a lot of people waiting, when does Reject play? Because they're really fun to watch. They have a really aggressive style, a lot of energy.
And lots of confidence. That's the biggest difference between this stage and the last one. And Window, replacing Naughty Meg for this stage, have really like raised up the mentality. Yeah, you lost your Naughty Meg.
Naughty Meg?
Yeah.
With 2 Gs? Well, anyways, my terrible accent. I'm sorry, Emmy.
Move on.
Anyways, let's talk about our map for this series.
Done.
No, it doesn't matter. You can talk right after this. There it is, Cyclops picking up Oregon. Okay. They start on attack, Reject defense. Fabian, you were saying?
Yeah, I wasn't really done with my point, but it's like watching Reject play, it's... Now I can't remember it. Thanks, Kazan.
Naughty Meg.
I've lost it.
Window.
I've lost it. That's not it. Doesn't matter. Let's look at the map. Jack, thoughts?
It's a low preference map for both teams. It's not one that I actually had pinned. I've got Oregon being the 9th preference map for Cyclops. They do play every map, it is worth saying. And then Oregon being like the 6th preference map. So I think it's another one where, in the context of the major, obviously there's not too much to play for. There's only one team, I guess, playing for something here, realistically, which would be Reject. So we're going to see some odd maps because it's not one I was expecting, is what I'm going to say.
Gassan, I have it again.
Yeah,
Reject slipping
I've
up
waffled enough so you get it.
Reject up against losing against Spear. I don't says too much because Spear showed today that they're on their upwards trajectory. They beat Damwon Kia, as I said, in a best of 3. And while losing towards that team that can do that, I don't think it's too bad. So I don't know if Reject, I think they're at the same spot still. I hope they win because I enjoy watching them.
All right, well, let's see how it all comes down in the server. Fabian, Fresh, it's time for a final game of the stage. It's Reject versus Cyclops, and it's Ace and Des take you through it. Enjoy.
Thank you very much, Milosh. We will be getting into our last game of APAC North Stage 2 then, Des. We've got Cyclops versus Reject, and I think this could be quite a fun matchup.
I'd bloody well hope so. A classic Japanese showdown, explosive as all hell. I'm always talking about how if you look back at Japanese scrim VODs or anything like that, or clips, I suppose you should say, rather than full-on VODs, you can see the aggression that comes out. These teams love being aggressive. They love getting up in each other's faces. What happens when you put two of those team styles in the same server together? A hell of a lot of aggression. I still always think back to this map for Cyclops at the Mexico Major and how they bullied Team 1 on it. I don't think Reject will give them quite as much space, but either way, an explosive showdown to end things out.
Yeah, I think so. I think both of them probably looking to just put a marker down here against each other, really. Reject obviously looking to say, you know, we may be coming through as a new dominant team in the region. Cyclops looking to defend that position, not had the best of stages, struggled with consistency. Really our roller coaster team in stage 2 of APAC North, so looking to no doubt finish on a high and build towards stage 3. So definitely plenty to be played for between these two. Reject are going to kick us off on defense, which means they will go for the first ban. We're going to be playing on Oregon, so that will no doubt shape our operator bans a little bit. The first attacker coming in will be Glaz. I mean, okay. I mean, I've been saying for a little while that Glaz is feeling a little bit more powerful lately.
Yeah, Tim, honestly, you haven't shut up in the last few weeks about Glaz should be banned out every single game. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Now, this is 100% against Cyclops because they are the kind of team to pull out some kind of mad bullshit that involves the Glaz, so completely understand that. Flores a little bit more, I don't want to say a normal ban, but definitely targeted out here from Cyclops against Rejects, I want to say. One thing to note quickly, Sim, while this is rifling through, have you noticed the speed at which you and I catch Milosh varies wildly different? I give, like, the graphics a second or so to process, then as we come on camera, I'm like, thank you very much, Milosh, but you're like, he's like, over to Ace and Des, thank you very much, Milosh. I'm like, whoa,
I was trying to get into it, Des. It's Siege is coming.
Mate, straight in there. No room to breathe.
Siege is coming. Who needs to breathe? We breathe Siege, we live and breathe it. Valkyrie is going to be taken out as our first defender, followed by Jaeger. Funky bans coming out of Reject there. And that is going to see all four rounded out. Interestingly, though, we have the Monty available.
Christ, get Lycan on the phone. He'll be loving this. Yeah, really interesting bans coming out from Reject there. The Glaz and the Jaeger coming in as a pairing. Let's see how that affects things. No doubt you'll see Wamai pretty much every single round because the number of nades that come in from below, for example, through security when defending top floor, nades that come down E-box, that come in towards highway, that get worked in towards elbow down here in the basement. Like, you have to bring Wamai, so I would not be surprised to see the Wamai on every single site in this, or every single round, sorry, in this game.
We're going to be getting our laundry set up. We've got window on the Warden. Window's going to have a window through the smokes and flashes because those glasses will allow him to be seen straight on through there. Interestingly, the entire freezer wall being left soft at this point. We've got one laser gate on there. It's all open. This is a funky strat for some funky bans, I would say, from Reject here. Usually you will see at least half a freezer wall reinforced and the right-hand side opened up as it has been. But that's quite an open defense, I will call it.
It is, yeah, but this is exactly why they've got the shield. It was going to be my question when I saw that. I was like, right, they can't not challenge inside this room, else they're going to lose Freezer entirely, and you may as well not even bother playing it in the first place. So having that shield on the rotate means someone can play inside of that rotate. Arguably, you can have one person hold down the south side entirely by themselves. They play inside a cubby, for example, rotate out to the shield. You're perfectly safe and not really exposed to any angle at that point unless the attackers completely break open the softball that you see inside of cubby itself. So I think it's a really interesting adaptation to it. It will make Freezer harder to push through, and it gives the defenders two spots they can play, either behind the shield or behind the laundry machines on the south side of that room. It's interesting.
A lot of caution here from Cyclops. Working across the top floor, making sure that there's nobody present up there. We have dropping away from security. Reject get themselves back into sight, but it's going to be Tadao Nike who opens things up with a nice kill onto Ayagator.
Where did he come from?
Excuse me?
Yeah, did he push down into Freezer or was he somewhere else instead? I didn't quite see exactly where he died, because if he sprinted way ahead of his team then when they're still be securing the top floor, there's probably a couple of questions to ask. Oh, there we go. Oh, okay, so he swung out onto stairs. Okay, that you can forgive. That's, yeah. I said, Tim, you're against you got two very
nice
aggressive Japanese teams in the server. That's exactly what you're going to see.
Yeah, a little bit of a push onto Laundry Stairs, and it's a very nice pickup for Taraniki. Obviously, a little bit of a risk being that he was on the smoke, but they've not cleared T3
what?
either. And Window is going to pick up his man, finding some vertical shots down onto Attic Wall. Gatarada is going to be taken down 5 versus 3 now, as Salty is holding on to Shaiko spot. We're going to hear that meeting hatch getting opened up for the time being, trying to open Shaiko Wall as well to make that spot holder harder to hold on to, but we will see the Excaros pellets being shot off there, and that's from the angle being found in from Bunker. Salty needs to be careful here as an aid rains into pillars. Down comes the drop. Anaton takes some damage. Salty's going to rotate around. He's going to get his man. Easy as that, as he just sidesteps around. Fancy footwork gets him the kill. 5v2.
Tim, are you the music man?
Certainly am.
Do you come from far away?
Far away.
You can't play though, I know that's true. Salty with another shotgun coming in here onto Suzushi this time around. A 5v1 and Cyclops almost given a taste of their own medicine from that game against Team 1 that I mentioned back at Mexico when they were doing this kind of stuff against Team 1. Rejects have gone, we've got the playbook, boys. We know how this works out. It's a flawless round to kick us off for the last game of the season.
How does Take even get... Whoa! What a flick from Take there. Coming across, it looked for all the life like he was going to lose his then as he came across that classroom door. But no, manages to wheel around 90 degrees and find the head of the final attacker. Reject with a beautiful defense there. Absolutely on top of that at every single stroke. Aggression at the right times, picking up kills. Wonderful round all round. Reject 1-0 and flawless at that.
Really impressive stuff. Yeah, I mean, again, it's the aggression that came out. The T3 hold, the swing onto Laundry, going hunting for that last man inside of lobby. Like, everything they could have done there to really disrupt Cyclops, they did, and it all went their way. Will they have the same look every single round? No, of course not. But I think if you've got that level of aggression, Cyclops will have to really slow things down and start asking questions. And the time when Japanese teams look the weakest is playing that really slow, methodical playstyle. They're just not built for it, Tim. They're built to be aggressive and hit you hard and fast. And sure enough, Anderson in this round, the KB coming out straight away, going, right, boys, we have been truly rattled by the Romers there. Let's get them back in line. Let's get that Mark 14 on the go, and let's get those phone calls ringing.
Oryx for Taraniki is going to be one to keep an eye on. Obviously going to have the freedom to roam underneath. I don't know whether they're going to open up that kitchen hatch to allow him to get directly back into sight or not. Could be a risky play should they choose to do so. They haven't at the minute. There's no debris on the floor. There you go, still soft. So it is a possibility for him to open, but it's going to be something that he needs to do himself should he find himself in that position. It could be a costly couple of seconds as he tries to shoot that one out. Now then, immediate approach towards master bedroom and armory corridor here from Cyclops as Anakin sneaking up there, but he will be spotted out by the default camera. Take out the bulletproof as well. There you go. He has to think about it, but he gets his shot. Salty over, surely not. Candy is going to pick up Suzushi, so another entry kill there, but this time Ayagator manages to get one of his own, and it's 4v4.
I think at this point, Salty's clocked. Okay, look, no one's trying to push their way through. Let's get this reinforced off. Interestingly, last second, dips back through the rotation. So now he's trapped on green stairs side of things. He's not working his way back down towards site. That just screams that he wants to get out around the map and cause a little bit of carnage. Tanaveki's still on the downstairs, though, giving a bit of a threat inside of here. And we clocked on this a little bit yesterday, Tim, when G2 were playing on this map. They completely reinforced off all the walls inside of security, and Virtue was very much locked in there. It's the exact opposite coming out of Reject. It's less soft all the way across. They've got to rotate looking through, and they're looking to get busy around the map.
Salty still being able to play in T2 of Big Tower at the minute, which is preventing any access in towards the attic. He's also able to continue holding those external angles. Needs to be careful here. There was a man in meeting, has moved away. It was the Dokubi of Anaton. He just heads his way back in and he's watching that attic hatch fervently there to try and catch a glimpse of absolutely anybody, but nobody's going to show him a pixel at this point. They don't want to give anything away, and Cyclops just feel like they're faltering a little bit, but this push up white stairs might just get them going.
It's got a little bit more structure to it than the last time round. That is timing and a half. Did he just run into friendly fire there?
I'm wondering that.
I don't think it was, because it was Ayagator's decoy coming up, but it looked like it for a quick second. It could have been a spray also coming in from game as the player rotated through, and he was just unluckily looking the wrong way at that moment. Got himself down nice and low, but still finds the kill back onto Candy as well. Looking good. Salty, finally, the king of this north side of the map, has had tower to himself, green corridor to himself, and then came into the kitchen looking for a snack. and found himself a kill.
The thing is, for Cyclops now, they've got Salty in the map. They know he's out in the map, but they have no idea where he is, and they don't have the time or the manpower to hunt him down. Ooh, they just catch the boots as he heads his way back upstairs, but that is going to be Window taking down Gatorada, leaving Black Ray half health and in a 1v3. Finds his man from underneath, cannot find the shots that he needed, though. Going to head back up the white stairs, one onto Salty. He needs 2 more. He's got 8 seconds left to find them. He moves through into game. He checks out Pit. There is somebody in there, but he can't find the angle. He's caught between a rock and a hard place, and he will manage to find a kill onto neither. And it's going to be Reject taking their second site. Dorms is locked down, and that's 2-0.
That's it. Now we get to the offsite, though, Tim, and this is where you're going to see the metal really tested. If they can hold on the offsite, Cyclops probably have that timeout come through, because then they've got to go through the same 3 rounds again, the same 3 sites, and try and get it right. And I spoke about this a little bit on EUL yesterday, how we don't really talk about the game enough in quarters, in my opinion. Where, sure, there are 2 halves to a game, 6 rounds of each, and all right, it's a bit early coming in. But, like, having that quarter, you'll see 3 sites rotate through. Chances are, in the next quarter, you'll see the same 3 sites getting played. So trying to split the game up into that 3-3-3-3 block the whole way through, I think is the smartest idea. And that's why tactical timeouts after 3 rounds can often be the go-to.
I think there's actually a tech timeout that we're seeing.
This one is, yeah.
We're seeing a technical issue. We're just going to get the player involved back in as soon as possible. But still an opportunity for the players here to just take stock, to have a little think about what's been going on, particularly on the Cyclops side. What can they do better? How can they improve? They managed to win the entry battle last time around. Sorry, no, Candy still picked it up. So that's 2 rounds, 2 entry battles lost for them. So maybe getting in there, getting an opening kill might just perk up the confidence a little bit. But also they're playing onto a tertiary site this time. They're going to dining and kitchen. So there is an opportunity whereby they don't necessarily need to take too much map control. They can get dorms locked down and then go in through small tower, straight through dining walls. So if they feel that some of the problem has been with dealing with those roamers, like Salty in the last round, for example, might be an opportunity not to play into that for Cyclops.
Absolutely. The big wars, but 100% they're going to be around these mirror windows. Now, you get an interesting setup here where sometimes they'll reinforce one panel, leave the bottom of the other one opened up, and you just chuck a bunch of impacts through as they try and open it up. And knowing here there's no Habana on side, there is just the Thermite coming in from Suzu Shi. They are limited in terms of what they can get open on Cyclops' side, so no doubt looking towards the main wall inside of dining here. I doubt they try and work their way through the backside. It's normally quite a risk, although a couple of teams have got control of meeting, open up the meeting wall and then plant it in behind the box. But normally it is small tower where teams will start.
Action phase is underway. Gatorada is dead.
Oh,
Not a good start. Once again, no sooner have I mentioned the entry battles and Cyclops' inability to win them, does Gatorada on the sledge with the nades get himself peeked out at the beginning of the round. Not ideal. Of course, you're wanting a little bit of verticality here, and Sledge can deliver that, but not going to be the case anymore as they have lost the operator and the map.
I'm going to have to start naming those kind of plays. I might start saying he got Japanned, because again, all the Japanese teams will play like this. This hyper-aggression is just ludicrous. And again, getting a taste of his own medicine. As it stands, so at least they have the ability to get things focused off. They haven't lost, for example, the Thermite. They still have breaching rounds and breaching charges from the Ash to get through the floor if required as well. So is she going to open it from above here? So over the top of it, they will get a nice little opening and should be able to get some visibility into the site. You can also normally vault over that to get a plant down as well, rather than opening up the whole wall itself, so many options still available. Cyclops at
round 3 have decided it is time to bring out the Anaton Monty plays. Explosives are being thrown his way, and half health damage taken at this point, boosted back up a little bit by the Finker of Black Ray, but still a lot of work to be done from that big shieldy boy. And this is a good position, an important position for Salty, because he's got the flank onto Monty potentially. Should he try to push through and behind that mirror window? But being forced away, that's not ideal, but less than ideal for Anaton is being killed by Take. Candy in the mix as well, and things are looking sweet for Reject right now. 5 versus 2, 1 minute 10 left to go, and as a defensive side, they've got top floor hold still. They've got the site on lockdown. They can just sit back and hold those angles.
They can indeed, yeah. And for the Monty, I think maybe overextending a little bit, being a bit too far ahead of the 2 or 3 members that were sat inside a small tower still. I understand you want to make an impression and get yourself aggressive and try and pick something up for your team here, but that level of desperation is what will just keep on costing you rounds, because again, Tim, this is that offsite that we needed to see get right. Igator took a little chip there. I'm not quite sure what from it. I saw his health go down. I was like, huh, where's that come from? But he's still trying to work his way through the upstairs here. The pair of them are pushing in together. The Rejects, I was going to say they're going to sit back and let them just walk at them at this point, but hell no, are they? They're still looking to challenge absolutely everything they can, and there it is, the reverse angle. The trade comes through, but it's still a 4v1.
That's it, Lee Suzuki, seriously low health and dead as Take is going to get in a third kill for the round, opens the round, finishes the round, and what a great performance we're seeing from Reject at the minute, absolutely running over a Cyclops that just haven't turned up to the races so far today. That's going to be 3-0, and there comes a point, Des, where we start wondering, is it one of those days where we cast 2 maps and only 14 rounds?
It's starting to feel like it, doesn't it? Yeah, and there's the proper timeout I was looking for, by the way. 3 rounds in, got another quarter to go. Let's have that conversation now to get things back on track. I think Cyclops, we know, have at least got the capability to be able to bounce back. They're one of our top teams. They're currently sat in 3rd place. They should be able to pull this back against Reject on this side. Even if you walk away with just a couple of rounds, it gives you some padding on your own attacking half to get things course corrected here, and on your defensive half, and get things course corrected and working back in your favor. Yep, for Reject, one of our air quotes slightly, well, they are our newer team. It's the newest team that we've got here in the competition. Maybe you'd be saying, okay, look, these guys have still got to work on their attacks a little bit. Given recent history, I'm not really convinced they do. I think they're in a great spot. They're looking full of confidence today. And I'm glad Cyclops are taking the time to have a conversation now rather than a couple of rounds when it's 5-0.
On we go then as the tactical timeout passes. That's going to be the minute that Cyclops have to discuss with their coach, with each other, and try and put the brakes on the runaway train that is Reject right now. They are well and truly out of the station and on their way to a solid victory. If this continues, the defences have looked good so far. They've been completely on top of Cyclops. They've brought that mirror along again in the shape of Take. We've seen that have certainly an influence on at least 1 or 2 rounds so far, so they're going to double down, bring that along again, and Cyclops not really having an answer to that as of yet. They sort of went to their stock mirror answer in bringing Anaton along on the Monty, but it didn't really do the job, so this time we're going to see Anaton on the Twitch instead, again maybe aimed at trying to deal with that pesky utility.
I think it's quite smart from Reject as well, because in round 1 they ran the Warden out of fear of seeing a Ying come through, but maybe fear with that Glass taken offline. Cyclops don't feel they've got all the components here to pull off a really good Ying execute with the Glaz also in support, so instead haven't touched that in any of the 3 rounds. And this is where Reject are taking, dare I say, a bit of a gamble by not picking the Warden. There's every opportunity for Cyclops to see what comp you've got and picking a Ying there and make your life absolute hell. Things like the Ying will absolutely help, the mirror will absolutely help out with that as well. But I feel here they've kind of said, look, we don't need a full Warden. Mirror's going to help us a little bit, and we know what's going to come at us in this round. So it's a good read, I think, by Reject in terms of the operator picks for this site.
Going to have the Twitch drone just buzzing around the top 2 floors, looking for any of those roamers. Salty is out in the map again. He's tier 2 big tower at the minute. If my eyes don't deceive, thank you very much. He's just stepped his way back down to rear stage. That's going to give him an opportunity to potentially play on the flank. I'm not sure that Cyclops have spotted him out yet, and that's not really a shot that you can be missing, I'm afraid, Anaton. That was a bit of an easy one on the Twitch drone, and that does not bode well for any high-intensity gunfights he might find himself in.
Nah, not overly. I think they maybe got himself caught at the maximum kind of elevation of Twitch drones. Before, they used to be really low, because obviously you used to get Twitch drones in the droning phase, and you could use that to go around and shoot out default cams if the angle was any higher. So they were just low enough that you couldn't quite catch default cams. Whereas now that they're only there in the actual action phase, that range is a lot higher. Clearly not as high as Anaton thought it was there. It's only a shot wasted. It's a small detail. I'll get it back in no time. But just one of those things about adapting, I guess.
It is. Second Twitch drone is going to go down. There's one already at the bottom of the stairs, question mark. But he's going to gets one shot out, sends the second straight in. They've seen it. Did he get the mirror? It. That's the question. I think I did hear the sound of it popping. We'll just have a little look. Yes, it is gone. So a great shot from Anaton that time around. Tadaniki, however, goes and finds a great shot of his own. He's going to trade the mirror window for a headshot, and Anaton goes down. His job is partially done, opening up Freezer a little bit, and the explosives are going to start raining in from the attackers, but there is still a very important mirror window still in position. You can actually get an angle on that to play into the Freezer at a tight angle if needs be.
It's twice now that Tadaniki is just like swung around, drive-by laundry stairs and found himself a kill, by the way. It was Iagator round 1, it's Anaton here in round 4. So Cyclops just not learning the lesson, and clearly Tadaniki full of beans here, more than happy to go hyper-aggressive. Now have all these flashes raining on through. Drones still pushing their way in as well. Tadaniki kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. No man's land stands between him. Take finding one with the Vector and looking for a shotgun in hand for the next fight. Not really what you want there. It's a 2K in for Gatorada, and maybe Cyclops have got something going here, Tim.
Yeah, I think he was a little bit too keen at looking for the down there. There's actually 2 players down, so it's 2v2 effectively, and there's no way that the man inside the Hibana Suzuki is going to risk trying to pick one of those up, I don't think. First bleeds out. Second is actually collected. 2v1 as we have a quad kill for Gatorada. This could be an ace. He's chasing it. He's got a pistol in hand. He knows where the last is. Shut down by Tadaniki. Just survived. The time ticks by. The 6th man wins the round. It's going to be Reject again. It's going to be 4-0. Cyclops almost had something going. Like you say, they were launching a bit of a maelstrom of disaster out of the freezer, but they just couldn't get the round done still.
Just better. Do I say better, really? Do I really want to say better here? Probably not. You've had Gatorada pull off one of the best plays he'll make all season. A massive 4K pushing in down freezer in what was a pretty open position, being challenged inside a highway. You had Tadaniki off to the far side on the Ella also challenging you. You had players coming up close to come for the challenge. There was a lot going on inside a freezer, especially when there were a lot of allies around as well. So he's hit himself a mega 4K, and Tadaniki has still managed to win the round. If Cyclops can't win off the back of a 4K, I'm really concerned about where they will find a win.
Well, they're going to have to keep trying. They've got 2 more rounds to have a pop and see what they can find as. They're going to be going to dorms again this time. It was round 2 that we saw this last time out. Salty had a good performance out on the roam, got himself a kill, kept Cyclops guessing, and just made the life a little bit of a misery, really. And it was Take who opened things up with the peek out onto Gatorada, if you remember, and then he finished off the round as well. So it's looking good for Reject, I think, to hold on to this one again, get themselves a 5-0 start. Tadaniki is on the Oryx that we did see brought along last time. Didn't have a huge impact. I'd like to see a little bit more from him this time, but I'm sure Reject have got no complaints at this point in time.
There is something I want to stress here about this game, because it might feel largely pointless. That we've got Cyclops sat in 3rd place. They cannot get into the major now. It's already been locked in as down 1 Kira in Sandbox. So what is there to play for? 60 SI points is the answer. 3rd place has 205, 4th place has 145. If Reject win this game, they bounce over not just Cyclops, but also Fnatic to jump into 3rd place. For a team that got slammed in stage 1, that's incredible in itself. But Cyclops do a lot of damage to their own chances at making SI if they don't finish in 3rd place. They've really got to recover this game, Tim, but Reject might already be just too far ahead.
Like you say, Reject, they've got a lot to play for. If you look at the difference of first stage, versus this stage, it's huge for them. Anaton going big and getting a kill onto Salty. That is exactly what Cyclops needed. I picked up on it previously that they've not been getting those entry kills, and this time they can at least play with a man advantage. It didn't pay dividends downstairs. They were still shut down even in a 2v4. They lost the round, but still, it gives them something to build on. But yeah, absolutely agree with you. Reject really fighting tooth and nail for everything they can get out of this one, Des. They're looking for that better final performance than they had in stage 1. And, for them to be fighting over 3rd place, I'm sure it's going to feel like a huge achievement for them and a building block for the future.
Absolutely. Well, let's put this focus onto the Attic push here coming in from the Austin. They've got 2 of them trying to push around here together. All 5 still alive with a couple of the Azami Kiba barriers on site, as you can see, just making games a much safer place to be playing in. It's why it's been less soft. But I'm still nervous about, I think it's the Oryx of Tadaniki that's charging around the map here. Was around Small Tower for the longest time. Is now underneath double window, back through kitchen. He has got control of the downstairs. He's like the dragon waiting in the basement here, just waiting for his invitation to strike.
Take just being cut down as Anaton was on the flank watch. A cheeky little attempt from Reject that will not pay off. Window manages to get Ayagated, but immediately traded by Anaton. We've got Candy in a tight spot, taken down by Suzuki, and it is now all up to Tadaniki, who has come up that hatch. He gets 1, can't get 2. Shut down by Anaton, and that is the round closed out by Cyclops. They get their first on the board, and that leaves us now in a 4-1 scoreline.
Well, I said if you're not going to win off the back of a Gatorada 4K, what can you win off the back of? Answer is an Anaton 4K this time round. Big round for him pushing in through Attic. Yes, they finally get it on the board. Little technical pause coming in once again here this time round for Reject, who want to deal with a little bit of ping, and then we can get back into things. But I think in that round again, it was more of a... You could see that Reject were trying to do the same sort of stuff, right? Where you had the Oryx roaming around downstairs. You had Take trying to pull off the flank. So at least here, Cyclops had flank watch on the go. They had drones deployed down. They had Anaton kind of as the free man to watch around the attic area. and fundamentally pushes through and finds himself a huge 4K. So fair play.
Yeah, it was well played from Cyclops. Just like I say, getting that man advantage at the beginning was big for them. They were able to then continue that momentum through the round. So I'd like to see them focusing. And, you know, this is not a criticism that we've often made of Cyclops, to be honest, that they're losing in the entry battle. You know, at previous majors, we've seen that they've, you know, by far and away had the highest numbers on entry where they weren't converting them to rounds, you know, but they were still getting those opening kills. But, you know, today they haven't even been able to achieve that. But they get one there, they get the round, and that was certainly a positive for them. I think we'll be getting back into game in just a few short seconds, and we can continue this one. We're going to be going into the final round of the defensive half for Reject here, and I think even if they come away with a loss in round 6, they're going to call this defensive round a success at least, because they'll be 4-2 up, but they are going to be chasing that 5-1, I'm sure.
Absolutely. I mean, I think for Reject to snag it here on the last play, they would be absolutely wonderful for them. I spoke back about stage 1 and how it really wasn't it wasn't a warm welcome, should we say, into the upper echelons of tier 1 play for them. They finished with just 2 wins, 5 losses at the very bottom on just 6 points, and it was like, ooh, this could be a really rough year. Because back then it was only Salty that was really making things happen. You know, we all commended him for how much space he'd make on the attacking side. He'd be the first in the building. He'd kill 2 or 3 players. He'd really forced a lot of respect from teams that I think just wanted to try and roll over Reject. This stage, it's not so much that he's been quiet. He's had to take more of a background seat because the rest of his team are just doing so much work. I can't think of a game that hasn't gone by where we haven't celebrated players like Take, like Tadaniki, who have got on board and done a lot for them. Even Candy's been up there as well. So between them all, it's really starting to feel like a very, very capable team in the top level.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, you got to remember, this is the first stage that we've really seen them like this. You know, there's a lot of time for this team to grow yet. You know, I know obviously we're talking about the growth that we've seen so far, but I've said it a couple of times, I'll say it again, they feel very similar at this stage to the Damwon Kia that we saw in stage 1 last year, where again, we felt very similar, that they had that ability to grow, they were entertaining, they were playing aggressive and fun siege, and they certainly feel in the same way. You know, if they can find themselves on a similar trajectory to Damwon Kia at that point, they are going to be laughing in 12 months' time, because we're going to be seeing them at majors. But, you know, there's a lot of work for them to do. I don't want to get carried away. All I'm saying is there's a glimmer there. It reminds me. You know, there is work to be done. There is, you know, Damwon Kia have put in an awful lot of time, an awful lot of work in the back room. I'm absolutely certain of that, to get to the position that they're in. And Reject just need to take a look and take a lesson from that.
I think when you look at how it actually builds into the overall standings as well, like relegation was the thing that Rejects obviously were going to be scared of after stage 1. They win today. They pull themselves out of relegation. Spear Gaming take their place with Fav just below them as well. Fnatic they end up tied with. And we've all spoken about Fnatic and say how we cannot have, you know, an organization as prestigious as Fnatic, who have just moved everything over to Japan, find themselves dropping out of this league. Well, Reject could be yet another challenger to that, to say, actually, we're the ones that should be staying and you guys should be going. Do I think, for example, Fav and Spear might be able to catch Fnatic? Not with how they're playing right now, absolutely. But there's 2 teams here that have escaped any kind of conversation around relegation so far this stage, and I think that has been Fnatic and Reject, who are having a vastly improved stage.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think it does. Again, I don't want to get carried away.
I do.
I know you love getting carried away. You know, when we look at Fnatic, we think about Fnatic. It feels a little bit like they've started the bounce back. You know, I'm not saying they're going to be at the major next stage. They're going to be this, they're going to be that. I'm expecting a very solid stage 3 from Fnatic, is what I will say.
Top 4.
Yeah, I'm expecting a better performance where they drag themselves away from that relegation. I don't think that's going to be a question for them personally. And I think we are starting to see the beginning of a little bit of a resurgence.
Absolutely. I just hope that, I'm not all saying it would be Mag's fault if this did happen, but if they're bringing Mag into the team, for example, I'd hate to see all the good work they've done this stage to get themselves to this quality standard be undone, but no doubt a lot of that is the work of Phenomene behind the scenes as well, their coach, who used to be with Gamma Gaming here in the European Challenger League. So, European coaches, not doing it too bad. Up we go on the top floor then. Kids and Dorms we head into for the final defensive round for Reject. They are looking for that 4-1 half. Shock horror, we have a player up in tier 3. They've had that pretty much every single round in the game so far. Some more effective than others. Salty was just left here staring at emptiness the whole time. Whereas, of course, we saw Warden, which I think was Window back in round 1, having a lot of impact.
I don't think the little sort of stutter ping issue that you're seeing is on the side of the players at the minute. I think it might be an observer issue, but we'll persevere for the time being. We'll see. I think we've just had an immediate bit of improvement there. The Lion scan seeming to sort that out for us. Thank you very much, Lion. We're going to have a nade coming in from underneath. Window is going to take half damage there, so it was well aimed from Black Ray, but not quite well enough as the Kaid just manages to wriggle away and keep his life at least. Black Ray is going to continue trying. He's got a second nade in pocket, so I think there'll be another attempt once he gets the information in. He's looking to play into kitchen at this point, just make sure it's safe to do so. A little bit of a concern that there's maybe not as much of a roaming presence in the map for Reject this time around. You picked up on the player in T3, still out there at this time in point, Taraniki, but you know, if they start losing men from underneath like that, then it is going to be questions that they'll be asking themselves.
And now you've got the Ying and the Candelas to roll behind as well, plus a bunch of smoke. This could just be everything. They're putting pretty much every single Candela inside of there. I think saw 2 or 3 come out in the end. Now, with all that going off, no one's moved. It's more of a bait here in a way to try and draw out C4s, to draw out utility from the defenders, but there is nothing to be found right now. Now they're in through the windows. Window has stepped out of sight and might get himself someone. Gonna lie. It is the Iana Gemini. Of course, I've been baited by that.
It's because it puts the blue silhouette around it, Des. That's what confuses us. Gatarada's looking to potentially head in through the bottom of White Stairs, but rotates himself away to Game's window. I think he's looking to actually get that diffuser in hand, being that he's on the Ying. He's going to be looking to launch those Candelas. As you say, sort of strange that didn't have the diffuser. They want him to be the one to plant, but they dumped a load of utility, including Candelas, in there as if they were going to go for it. I don't know whether they were just trying to bait a response out of Reject and look to pick up a few cheap kills, but here it comes. Out goes the Candela. In comes the diffuser. There's not likely an opportunity for Reject to do anything about this. Take is underneath, but doesn't know the plant is going down, can do nothing about it. Taraniki gets us started inside of sight, but immediately traded by Gatarada. Salty fighting, but shut down. Take onto Gatarada. 1 versus 3 for Window here. Bad throw on the Nitro. Will be taken out. Needs to find these gunfights. Finds the first. Loses the first. Loses the round. Cyclops get 2 in a row before they head into the side switch.
Not bad, not bad. So the fact they recovered this back and got those last 2 rounds on board is mega. It did feel like we were going towards a 6-0 half. And I think a lot of that came down to, realistically, the attacking side of Cyclops there weren't playing a really high requirement attack. They didn't need to get control of large parts of the map. They were outside it for the most part. They were outside double window. Candelas and smokes were sort of their go-to, I don't want to say panic button, but they got control of the below. They got themselves some Candelas and smokes in. They got inside, planted, job done. You've got control of whatever you need to have control of there. So more of a direct site approach rather than worrying about getting control of Attic, for example, and trying to work your way up through Shower and so on and so forth. They got exactly what they needed and played from there. Good simplicity and a well-deserved second win.
Cyclops kick off their defense with a laundry site. They're going to be taking us all the way down into the depths, into the basement. We've got a fairly standard setup looking so far compared to the first time that we saw Reject down here with the entire freezer wall open. This time we've got the half reinforced, we've got elbow half reinforced, shield played on there. Kaid, Electrical will no doubt go on the meeting hatch to try and keep that closed. Shaco's reinforced off. We've got a couple out in the map, all looking pretty standard so far for Cyclops.
Alrighty, now this is where things really get spiced up, is how well Reject can attack this. You've seen the disruption that came out of Reject in their first half on the defense. No doubt Cyclops want to pay back sort of a taste of their own medicine onto the Reject side. They've got that Moncion side that we saw get employed once by Cyclops. They were a little bit too aggressive with it, I felt. And I spoke about Salty being the space maker back in stage 1. Here he's doing it, just not so much with a gun in his hand. Instead, it's going to be a shield.
Pressure coming into bunker immediately. We're going to have Candy launching the nade in. The ADS had been burnt. Nitro comes out, will be unsuccessful. Gets a drone, but no more. And that's going to be Anaton having to make a decision now as to how long he stays in elbow there. Doesn't have the shield to protect him. Doesn't have a Nitro to be able to play behind. Isn't a smoke. Can't shut down the push. Is going to be leaving himself exposed. Tadaniki's likely to pick him up on the drone now, so they're going to know that there's an opportunity for a straight fight to be taken, and they might just look to get themselves in and do exactly that. But meanwhile, we've got the knock up above. Take just working through potentially towards Freezer Stairs. I think it's a little bit undecided at the minute exactly where that backstab attempt is going to come, but they could be getting outplayed here as we've got Irrigator on the Malusi up on top floor, and I'm not sure they're aware of this.
Well, this is the thing. I was going to comment as soon as you finish that little piece there, Tim, about how much anti-flank they've got on the go. They've got the Nomad, they've got the Claymores coming out of Zofia, for example. They're really trying to focus on not getting disrupted by Cyclops, which I think is a really good idea to go for. You know, keep them away from shooting you in the back as you're trying to think about and execute. The question is, none of those Claymores have gone down yet. Only two of the air jabs are down. Is it enough to stop Irrigator slipping through the net?
Irrigator just holding his angle there. He's not going to catch his man, I don't think. Steps away. Nice and easy. In comes the Nomad, and you can protect your flanks all you want. If you don't know there's already somebody on it, it's going to be a problem. Suzushi gets taken down by Tadaniki. Black Ray onto Tadaniki for the direct trade, and that leaves us now in a 4v3. And nice movement from Irrigator here. Take's looking to push onto Laundry Stairs. They've absolutely no idea. Take has completely outplayed them so far this round.
I think that Electric will have given away, though, that he's around here. It's why Irrigator's now trying to look skyward, and Take's on the hunt. He thinks he's still up here, but obviously has no idea that he slips across in towards Garage. Instead, he's very much trapped in there, because as soon as that window, or the doorway, sorry, the barricade gets opened up, they're going to know exactly where he is. So for now, at least, those two players are sort of out of action, and time is running away from them.
The Malusi with an impact nade in hand, it's worth remembering, so that barricade can go very, very quickly if there is a shout that there's a push onto Laundry Stairs. I think that's, there you go, I think that's probably the intention all along there. Going to move his way out, and it might not actually be clear what that explosion was. You won't necessarily associate it immediately with a barricade being taken out. Final kills come out from Gatorada and Black Ray, though. It's not going to be Irrigator that has the main impact. It's going to be those on site, shutting down the remainder of the attack and closing out the round and bringing us now to 3-4. 3 in a row for Cyclops, and they get themselves right back in the fight.
Didn't really look threatened at any point in that round, I didn't think.
No,
I think
it was a
Reject
weak
had an
attack.
idea of what they... It was, that's exactly it. It was a little bit flimsy. They didn't know what it was they wanted to do, I don't think, strictly. They kind of hit a roadblock where the Monty couldn't get himself inside Pillar 2 comfortably. It was like, okay, well, what do we do now? They were left kind of chasing their own shadows, being worried about a Roma that was no longer really present, and just, they beat themselves in a way, I think. Tim, not to say Cyclops didn't do anything, but Reject lost to their own fear there, I think. So hopefully in this round, we see him sharpen up a little bit. Cyclops going up onto the top floor. There's the Frost being brought along, sorry. And Tim, I know you got a real thing for Frost mats, Tim.
A real
Hopefully,
fear?
Reject don't.
I've got a real fear.
I don't know.
I've got a real fear of Frost. I'll be honest, I've not gone into a Frost mat in absolutely ages. And I feel like in saying that now, I'm probably going to magnetize towards a bunch of them. I've not been playing against many Frosts, I think is the key. I've figured out the key to not going into Frost mats, and that's to not play against Frost.
Breeze, do you just get an all chat and just say, guys, can you not play Frost?
Just leave
please?
it out.
Cheers.
Just leave it out. Yeah, you know, let's keep this as a fair
just
game.
Ban it. This is why you keep playing solo, because you ban Frost.
That's it. I'll just encourage everybody to ban Frost.
Right, I see. Big brain plays, mate. Big brain plays. You are right, though. She has somewhat come out of the meta a little bit now. Whereas before, she was like stupidly popular. Alibi has sort of become a lot of players' go-to for when you want a shield-bearing operator. She's a little bit quicker. The gun's still amazing, for example. And the 1.5x being moved has had that effect. Frost is still valuable, especially when you know a team is quite rapid or they're quite likely to miss steps in their approach. And I think that's sort of what Gatorada's trying to ride on here.
It's going to be top floor at this time for Cyclops, as they've just won down in Laundry. Tadaniki manages to find Gatorada to kick things off. Gatorada having a good game so far, to be fair, leading the way in terms of frags on his team, but he's going to be picked up at the top of Laundry Stairs as Tadaniki heads downstairs to make sure that there's nobody else in the basement. Irrigator is on the roam and could well head in that direction, so something that Reject need to be aware of, but Irrigator just being careful. He doesn't want to overcommit because he is playing around Kitchen for a specific reason. He wants to be able to play that verticality onto the double window potentially. For the time being, he's just conscious of the fact that somebody might appear from rear stage stairs, because of course the call out has gone out from Gatorada to say I've been killed on Laundry Stairs, and that tells you that Tadaniki might be heading in that direction into the basement. But I don't know if Irrigator knows about this. I think he certainly does. The Knocker's got himself established inside of security, picked up on the drone, and they should be able to manufacture a pinch here, and that's exactly what's coming as the Lion of Tadaniki moves upstairs, and Irrigator gets more and more stuck until the point that he just has to call it a day and get that reinforcement behind him in attic.
He's held them back is the most important part. They're taking out a number of drones, but we're down to 2 still out on the field here for Reject. That was the case as well when they were at 1 minute 40. So a really good job by Cyclops to take away that information gain from the attackers here and still get back to site alive. Great roam.
Alligator just now establishing himself inside of sight. He's going to continue to try and help Suzushi hold on to Pit for the time being. Candy's got himself onto double window as well, so Anaton needs to be careful here. Doesn't want to overexpose, does exactly that. It's Tadaniki, however, on the white stairs that manages to find the kill. 4v3 as he gets a nice headshot. 38 seconds, so plenty of time left for the attackers here. Nitro comes out, but it's a little bit premature. Alligator managing to finally take down the Lion, who has been so deadly so far. Black Ray does see the knock on the stairs, and the call goes out. Alligator able to take the kill, and that leaves us now in a 2 versus 3. 20 seconds left to go.
It's really coming down to the pinch here, and Reject are just starting to run out of steam in these later stages of the round. We've seen it in both rounds now, and they look a little bit lost on ideas. In through the smoke, instant crouch, and they know exactly where you are. The second one being picked up by Alligator. Cyclops starting to look really comfortable now, Tim, and this is where I started to get a little bit worried for Reject and that chance of taking 3rd place.
Yeah, absolutely looking that way. Like you say, they've just, Cyclops settled into things now. You got to remember all these rounds coming back to back as well. So it started out with 4 rounds for Reject. It's just gone now 4 rounds for Cyclops. The question is, can they continue the trend where they were able to shut down Reject or not? I mean, it's looking good for them. Like you say, Reject are not really getting close to these sites. Yes, they got a couple of kills that time. Yes, they were more competitive in the round, but let's look at the absolute, basics of Siege. Were they anywhere near getting control of the site? Were they anywhere near putting the diffuser down on the ground? Were they anywhere near finding all of the kills that they need to win the round? And I would say on all 3 counts, absolutely not. So Reject, as much as it looked a little bit better, it still wasn't really impactful in terms of putting another point on the scoreboard.
Absolutely. Well, Black Ray here looking to dig himself inside of security. I love the mute jammer placement, by the way. Just a couple of teams have forgotten about it as such, and they still manage to get themselves inside and drone you out. Nades start flying through. You're basically screwed from that point moving forwards. But just one mute jammer being dropped down on the door does mean that they can't drone you out comfortably. They have to eat nades, for example, to get that one burnt out. And you as the defender inside of security tend to get a sniff that that's coming, can get out of dodge before it gets too hot in there. So whoever plays inside there should be able to waste a good bit of time and keep their life as a result of that mute jammer.
The Ossa is going to be pushing up to the main door to begin with, just pinging out the default cam, make it a nice easy pick up through the barricade, and then don't need to open it up, don't need to announce that much presence. At the minute, Cyclops are shaping up for a meeting defence. They're going to be heading away from Showers Corridor. Black Ray just giving up a little bit of ground there, looking instead to challenge onto this white stairs window. He sees one, he knows that they're back there, he goes for the challenge. Salty going to take a little bit of damage in the midst of all that, but Black Ray unable to find a kill. But importantly, and something that Cyclops have done well so far that you picked up on, Des, they're holding them back. We're a minute into the round and Reject is still not inside of the building.
That's it. And this is the aggression I keep on speaking about as well. They managed to get Small Tower, which is, as it suggests, a small part of the map to have. But let's not forget what was successful for Cyclops on their attacks. It was going direct to site, taking the minimal amount of control required and making a play happen off the back of it. Now, they've still got a lot of work to do here, but they've ignored anything really going on towards the other side of the map, at least for now. Take, I think, is thinking about green control as a bit of a late round backstab, and has got to be so mindful about the 2 players that are lurking above him. Alligator and Suzushi both up towards the north.
Large cost for the Nitro there. Obviously, it's, usually looking at a lethal kill, but instead used to take out the Ossa shield, but it just goes to show how important those shields are. Alligator with a nice creeping peek to take down Take to begin with, but Window is there to find the refrag. That leaves us now in a 4v4 after that trade, and Reject, they've got themselves established inside of small office now. They've lost the Finker, which is not ideal, but they do still have another Ossa shield that they can potentially play behind, so they've got a bit of utility here to help them, although the first Ossa shield has been dealt with very, very nicely by Cyclops.
Yeah, he was just there purely for flank watch as well, so dying off there, not ideal. It means they've now got the freedom of movement on the defensive side to move to wherever they feel they need to be stepping into. Otherwise, there's a lot of pressure coming inside of security, like I mentioned, the Aruni dropping away. That's what I was speaking about earlier on in terms of the mute jammers as well.
Taraniki moving into Zulu corridor there, just looking to move through, maybe get a little bit of top floor control, knowing that Cyclops are going to be holding on from above. There is indeed 2 inside of Kids Dorms at the minute. I think one might have just dropped the hatch. We're going to have a nade going in. The Kaid might find himself in danger, but no, able to keep away from it. Anaton just keeping himself safe for the time being, and then taking down Candy. Big kill there, but we have the return. 5 seconds left to go. Window, you got to get this diffuser down. It's got to be now. Black Ray's there with an essential kill. Time ticks by. 2v1, and it's going to be Cyclops putting themselves in the lead for the first time. 5-4 now.
Came close. They came down and started Nicky getting that kill at the end, but once again, late stages of the round is where we're seeing a little bit of flailing. But what I will give to Reject, they got a lot closer in that round. They took them in all amount of control they needed. They had the flank watch inside of green. They were doing all the right stuff to actually pull off an attack. It's just when it came around to actually pulling the trigger, they'd already lost a little bit too much. They didn't have the control they needed, for example. The pressure just wasn't really there in the mid-round to get anything set up to make it happen. So they had to force a plant inside a smoke, just inside a kitchen door. So good attempt by Reject, and like Cyclops, they are also going to have their own timeout here as they've realised things aren't going to plan. They've got to get the plan back online.
Honestly, I know I keep saying it, but Reject are just so similar to Damwon Kia in Stage 1 last year. Go back to Stage 1, watch Damwon Kia versus Fnatic. I'm pretty sure that it was on Oregon as well. You know, and the comparisons draw themselves. The way that, you know, Damwon Kia were dominant in many areas of the game, but then would lose it in the final 30 seconds, the final minute, the last push, and they just didn't have that answer. They didn't have, you know, that last 30 seconds that they needed, and it took them a couple of stages to really develop that and get to the point where they did. And Reject are just on such a similar path at the minute. It's just whether they can walk it in the same way. But, you know, hopefully they can, and hopefully we have another big boy team in the league to be fighting out for those major spots. That's what we want to see now. You know, we always talk about a rising tide raises all ships, and, you know, Damwon Kia has been, I think it's fair to say, that rising tide in APAC North, and now it's time for these teams to raise along with them, and I feel like we are starting to see it, and hopefully it continues, because this could become a devastating region in the world of Siege. You know, what we've seen from Reject has been fun, it's been explosive. Now they just need to find some answers on the attack.
Yeah, the big thing for me that I've said this stage really, and I think prior to this I didn't really hold this viewpoint, but whenever I talk about APAC North at the moment, I've done it on the UL show as well, is saying essentially Korea is the region or country to watch out for now in terms of capability. The fact that they have ingrained in the culture in Korea a really big focus on esports, dating all the way back to the original StarCraft, for example. It's a big thing in that country, and every single team I've seen is playing in a team house together. They really do go the extra mile to make sure they're really well supported, well coached, for example, and become really competent teams. And we're now seeing that in that we have 2 Korean teams going to the major. I think Japan for a while enjoyed being the kind of top dog in the region of APAC North. You know, Korean teams are still trying to have a sort of a real challenger come in and represent them, for example, to really stick their neck out and go, okay, we're really going to be able to fight against these Japanese teams. But I think also what we started to see is Japan move away from, say, 2 or 3 years ago when we had teams like Father's Back that were a team essentially of 5 celebrity Siege players in Japan, big YouTubers, for example. Now you're starting to see a real focus on getting good infrastructure in there, getting coaches in place. And Fnatic, I imagine, are really going to help the whole region level up in that sense. It's not so much a Korea are definitely going to fly miles ahead now of Japanese teams. No, it's just very different play styles, and a couple of Japanese teams are really willing and ready to challenge that sort of angle we're now starting to see where Korean teams are better. That won't be the case forever, and that only as a whole raises the entire region upwards.
Absolutely not. I mean, you know, you've only got to look towards the national level competition in Japan. You know, we can't ignore the sizable prize pool that is available for the JPL. So that in itself is going to drive that level of competition, that level of investment, that level of, you know, dedication to getting better. Like you say, not being a celebrity team, not be, you know, you want to be a highly functioning team here, because there's great opportunities both nationally and internationally for Japanese teams. So yeah, I absolutely have 100% faith that we're going to see, you know, that level of improvement and that level of competition continue to grow. And I, for one, cannot wait for it. Cyclops, just waiting out this technical rehost that we've got going on. They've got themselves 5 rounds in a row. They were 4-0 down to Reject. We were talking about the potential of a second 7-0 win of the day, but Reject just seemed to have fallen off a cliff since then. And Cyclops have really notched it up a gear. They've put their foot down on this one. They're giving it some gas, and they are now starting to pull away from Reject.
Yeah, it's one of those that I look at and just think, oh, it's a game of two halves, Tim. I think if nothing else, that's the one thing I've learned more and more this stage, is that you can never, I've always said it before, you can never really count a team out until you see the second half. Ever since I think I want to say it was Sandbox had was it a 6-0, got turned back into an 8-6 against them on Consulate. It was ludicrous. And so I'm thinking back to games like that and just saying, look, you cannot prove that any team, no matter how good they are, has won a game until they've got 7 rounds on the board. Or 8 if you're in overtime, obviously.
Absolutely, like you say, it's not done until it's done, and that's part of the professionalism of these teams, is being able to continue playing, continue fighting until they get to that point. And it's quite often where we see teams crumble. Like, we've even seen big names like BDS in EUL do it. This year against Na'Vi, we've seen them go way ahead and then be reined back in. So certainly can't be resting on your laurels and feeling like anything is done until it is done. Hopefully this rehost is going to be done fairly soon. We're going to be getting everybody back in and we can get back underway. Only a couple of rounds potentially left to go here. I think we're going to see Cyclops on the defence heading back to Laundry now. They've done their complete defensive rotation. They went Laundry Dorm's meeting. They've won all 3, so I think we're likely to see them on the downstairs again. And remembering back to round 7, Reject, you never really challenged into sight at all. I think a lot of it was lost around the map rather than having any realistic opportunity to put the diffuser down. I mean, I haven't seen Reject set foot on a single plant spot yet.
No, the closest they got was just inside of the kitchen door in that last round, if you remember. And Window then it got sprayed down from the side, yeah.
It's certainly not a default spot. The default spot.
No, it was a Hail Mary.
Yeah, exactly. They've not been into an optimal position with the diffuser as of yet, and that is a big problem for them right now because it takes a weight off the mind of Cyclops. They don't have to worry too much about the site. They can just let themselves worry about getting out on the roam and finding some success out there.
Absolutely, yeah. Like Tim said, we should be back into the game in just a moment. Looks like all the players are at least online and ready to go in just a moment. So when things settle down, we can get back into it. Maybe related to the occasional stutter issue like we saw inside of the game itself. So once that settles, we will be able to get back into things once more. In terms of the overall, I guess we've got a bit of time to talk here, potentially, Tim, as well. What's been your biggest surprise this stage so far?
My biggest surprise has, I think, been Reject's performance.
Stretching sessions with Rejects, by the way.
Yes, certainly. Keeping themselves nice and limber, nice and flexible. I think, Reject have definitely been a big surprise, but not to talk too much about them. We've already covered that off. The other 2 surprises for me, one has been...
look at Window. What skill?
How far dare he go?
Look at him.
Oh, how far dare he go? No, that's it. That's as much... I wanted it off camera then. Thank you, Window, for that.
Cheers, Window.
Cheers to you.
Drink for that. Not an alcoholic drink.
I think the drop off of Fnatic surprised me. Given I know that there's been a lot of changes within the organisation, but I just thought there might be mentally a little bit more stability there, a little bit more. We're in position now. This is the start of something, and we are starting to see it now towards the end of the stage. And I don't want to be too critical because we can't necessarily expect teams to just immediately dive straight into something and find success. But I would have just thought they'd have been a bit more fight in some of the games than we've seen. But that is certainly starting to improve now. And then I'd say Spear towards the end of the stage as well. The last couple of games, Spear have actually looked pretty good. They've sent a bit of a message ahead of stage 3, I think.
I really want to see 11 back and playing because I was so excited to see Mephi and 11 together. Like, for the longest time, we've all bigged up 11. We know how good he is. I remember back last year when it was the battle between Yas and 11 to decide who was the best player. It was T1 versus Talon, actually, the game at the time. And it was just insane. So much fun to watch. Then you've had Mephi come in, who's this new young gunner. He's kind of in that little group of new young gunners around the world. Players like Mowgli, Benja, Spoit, Newers, all these players we keep on talking about. Volps as well, of just players that are transforming the way some teams play. It's really exciting. And the team around it maybe is... I don't want to say they're not good. They're not as hot maybe as they'd like them to be. Like Roy Boy, for example, was a substitute player for Down1 Kiers, had some good games. Crazy Boy, similar sort of story. But it's taking time for them to blend, I think. So lots to be excited about still. It just takes a bit of time for some of these teams. And like you say, for Spear, I think you're starting to see that awakening. For Fnatic, it came in 3 or 4 days into the stage, which for them is great because it means they do get to fight away from relegation.
I don't think we're too far away from getting back into things now. So... we will be persevering with the technical rehost, but hopefully not for too much longer, and we can see the conclusion of what... I mean, we came into this saying this was going to be a fun game, Des. You know, we knew that there was going to be some entertainment factor here. We've had some nice kills, we've had some vertical play, we've had a little bit of everything, really. I could just do with now seeing a little bit more site play out of Reject. I don't think that's something that they've accomplished so far, but that's not really to their detriment. It's to the credit of Cyclops. Cyclops have just been able to stop them getting anywhere near at the minute, and I think it's just about winning some of these attacking gunfights for Reject. If they could carve themselves... There's nobody creating any space. They're going in, they're losing the entry battle, they're 4v5, you know, they're always having to work from behind. I want them to get in there, get a couple of kills, 5v3, we've got a little bit of room, we can breathe, we can move, and I think that could do them the world of good.
Okay, well, Susie, she's gone for a
Susie,
stroll
she's
around
run away.
for a couple of minutes. That's it. Look, surely the boys have got some more tricks for us, right? Let's get pouring some more water. Come on, got some more fun.
I could see the lobby on Anaton's screen there, and we've got at least 5 names on the right-hand side, so we're not doing too badly.
Oh, Christ, Reddit must love you, mate. A true detective.
Indeed, indeed.
They're the kind of... I remember there was a whole thing around, like... was it around the latest operator? They're looking at where the major was going to be. And they're like, oh, well, if you take these certain creases on Jackal's latest like reveal thing, then you can see it says Barcelona. It was
a pattern on a uniform that was a map, and it was very similar to the map of Barcelona was what was going on. I mean, I love stuff like that. I don't want to, you know, it was a great idea, but I just want to point out Jackal is one of the Spanish operators. So it may well have been more to do with that. If it is indeed Barcelona related, it may well have been more to do with the fact that he is one of our Spanish operators.
Let's just say they would not hold down a job in a criminal investigations unit. Because you'd be missing that basic detail at step 1. Why has he got Barcelona on there? Is it hinting something? No, he's just Spanish, mate. Come on.
I don't know Jackal's full lore or his bio, immediately off the top of my head. He may well even be, I don't know, is he from Barcelona possibly? I don't know. You know, he certainly could be. From? I don't know. He certainly could
Jackal.
be. Maybe he's from Ibiza, because that was the map that came in, wasn't it? It was Coastline that came in, which is obviously based on Ibiza. I'm not saying it's his house, but it's certainly based, it's based on the Isle of Ibiza, so maybe that's where Jackal is from.
It's a Spanish autonomous city. It's Ceuta, I think it's called.
All right,
Ceuta.
okay. There you go then. He's not from Barcelona.
He's not from Barcelona, Tim. Can confirm.
Well, time ticks by. I hear game noise. I hear game noise in my ear. So that little brief pause that I gave you was all that we needed to get us underway. We're going to be heading back in. There you go. Windows celebrating the return to the game. The thing is here, this could play into, we always talk about these. This could play into the hands of Reject a little bit. Cyclops have just won 5 rounds in a row, and now they've just had 10 minutes where they've had to just sit cold. And that could have an impact on them going forward. I don't think it will, because Cyclops are one of our most experienced teams. So I would have thought they should be able to handle that. But it's certainly something to watch coming into round 10.
Absolutely. Well, let's see if that break has reset anything here, because again, for Reject, for the last good few rounds now, I think 5 rounds in a row, they have not found a single win. Did not win the last 2 ones of the first half where they were on the defense, and have yet to find an attacking round win. So hopefully their fortunes change. This stays competitive, and that 3rd spot is a real battle all the way through to the end.
Sure, we're going to be loading in any second. As you say, the battle for 3rd spot is what is at stake here. If Reject can get themselves, I'll say a regulation win. I don't know how it factors exactly if we get into overtime, but if they can get a regulation win at least, then that is going to take them 3rd spot. It's going to get them additional SI points. It's going to put them on the road at least towards maybe considering the possibility of a qualification for the biggest show on earth in February. When we see, obviously, the top teams from around the world of Siege coming together to compete. It is the main prize. It's the goal. It's what everybody wants to work towards. And, 3rd place points here could be massive for both of these teams in trying to hunt down one of those spots.
Absolutely. Well, I heard the game sound start up. I can see the operators on screen, so we should be good to go in just a moment. Do apologise. Look, you normally have to put with me into having to fill a bunch of crap normally, and we do have all kinds of random topics normally to dive into, but The remote versus in-studio thing, I can't give Tim the funny little side-eye looks to say, you like that, huh? But no, he can't do that today.
I can feel them though, Des, don't worry.
Oh, always, mate. I'm always side-eyeing you.
It's a bit like Ghost. You know, I've just got you sort of... It's a bit like you're a shimmering presence to my side. I can still feel you here.
That's just the voice in your ear, mate.
We've got the game back. It's time to celebrate. We are going into round 10. It's going to be laundry as expected for Cyclops to defend. They've gone through their complete defensive rotation now, and they're going to be heading back around it again. They're going to be back on the merry-go-round, hoping that the ride is just as enjoyable as it was before. For Reject, it's a little bit more of a case of the louder you scream, the faster we ride, because right now things are looking a little bit terrifying for them. 5 rounds in a row have gone against them, and Cyclops looking like they could cruise through these last 2 to finish this off, given now that they've got the primary and secondary sites to play through.
I quite like that Anaton's playing on the Echo here as well, like knowing again that Rejects have left things down to the last 10, 15 seconds to actually make the play happen, and even then it's on kind of shaky terms anyway. Things like the Yokais are going to be so effective here in terms of slowing them down, trying to waste time, disrupt the plants in the dying seconds, but also feed information as they try and step their way through. So overall, a really good pick in my opinion. What I need to see this time round, though, is Window not being the first one to die to a Roamer. There's a beautiful irony when like a Jackal or a Nomad dies to a Flank or a Roamer, in my opinion. But Window's the one who's got to be locking these things down, stopping them getting back to site. But it is a whole team effort to make sure those Roamers aren't free around the map.
Yokai drone just being used to have a little look outside there before being sent in, rather than being used for stunning purposes. This one is being used more in the sense that you would see the attacker drones used. It's helping Black Ray, feeding information into the alibi, giving him a little heads up of where the push is going to come from. The hatch has been opened up above him, so he knows that there is an immediate presence inside of the map here. He's actually getting quite aggressive onto this. The Yokai drone just bouncing up there, giving him the little bit of information that there's the potential of the sledge above him, and guess what? Black Ray uses every drop of that information to get the entry, take down 2 nades, take down Salty, and take down the sledge.
Absolutely. Again, big starting kill. This is exactly what Reject were doing to Cyclops the entirety of the first half, just getting up in their face, taking out key players. Beautiful stuff. Because now at least Reject have only got 2 nades on side in the back pocket of Take. Even he might be in danger because he's trying to challenge in towards security. He goes down here, things are going to start looking real shaky.
This is it. Black Ray's just going to hold his position for as long as possible. Now that he's got that entry kill, he doesn't need to worry too much about his life. He, of course, will worry about his life. He doesn't want to throw it away, but the more time that he can burn on this mid-floor, the better for his team. So it doesn't leave them short-handed. If he loses it, if he wins this fight in Kitchen, and I don't think the Twitch knows that he's here. The drone didn't go far enough towards the hatch. I think they could see the hatch was reinforced, so they just assumed, hey, there's nobody in that corner. The hatch is reinforced. Black Ray, no, he just looks the wrong way there. Had the potential, but he's going to find the Hibana if he moves quickly enough. It's an absolute freebie. He could get himself back to site. He knows diffuser's down as well. Takes down the air jab. Beautiful play from Black Ray on the alibi. That's 2 minutes wasted before he loses his life. 2 kills as well. Perfect roam.
Oh, big from Take as well to equalise things out there, because for a second it looked like Cyclops were absolutely going to be in a 5 versus 3, and round was going exactly the way all the previous ones have, just being picked apart one at a time. At least here they get the reset back into a 3v3, but it does hurt the attackers more than the defenders here, because they're losing that crucial utility, whereas the defenders, most of theirs is already deployed.
19 seconds left to go, and still Echo on side. Anaton has just become an extremely important part of this defence. If he can keep himself active on the Yokais, there's no way a diffuser goes down. Ayage to Gatarada. See to the fact that 1 won't be needed as 3 kills come in, and Cyclops get themselves onto 6, get themselves onto the match point.
And there it is. They've dragged it all the way back, Tim. That's what, 6 rounds on the bounce, now they've pulled back.
Unstoppable.
Unreal.
Unstoppable.
Which makes you now worry for Reject. You know, these are the kind of games that if you want to be a top 4 team, you've got to be able to start battling through. And at least here, they'll be kept just outside the top 4. They'll miss out on any SI points. Those instead will stay with Cyclops and go to Fnatic if it ends out this way. And I do struggle to see how Reject are going to find a single attack here. I think this is done.
It's certainly looking that way. That much is for sure. Reject just... They seem... they're not rejected right now. They're dejected, Des. They're just absolutely broken at this point. They're a shell of the team that we saw in the first 4 rounds. There's just very little that they can get going at the minute. Cyclops have got the answers to absolutely everything. It's going to be up to the top floor we go. Dorms, we saw this back in round number 8. It was the second defense for Cyclops last time around, and it was another one that Reject just didn't even get close into sight. They didn't, manage to have any opportunity to put the diffuser down, get any, significant kills in terms of shutting Cyclops down. So Cyclops, once again, they're going to be trying to replicate that, and they're just so slippery at the minute. It's just so difficult for Reject to nail them down anywhere.
It's really interesting because you'd assume that Japanese teams in general will be really all over being good at dealing with Roma aggression, given they play against it all the time, both in the Japanese league, but also here in APAC North. But both teams have really struggled to shut down the Rome game, the aggression coming out the other side. That's the kind of thing about where I worry about how they might stack up against big Korean teams, because Damwon Kia, for example, wonderful at shutting down that aggression, as they've shown so many times this stage. But being able to do that yourself, I feel, as teams like Reject or Cyclops on the attacking side, that's going to be the difference maker that will pull you ahead of all the other teams in your country and get you to start competing with those top Korean teams.
Candy takes a lot of damage on the Sophia there. Half health gone straight onto the drones to try and see exactly what's going on, maybe support the push of his teammates. But either way, it's not a great start once again for Reject. Just again, Cyclops coming in on top of a fight. I'm not sure if Gatorada got spotted out on the Aruni there, but relocating himself is not going to matter too much. We've got Salty trying to apply a couple of SAM cams here and there. That should give him the information that he needs that there's somebody up on T3. It might be time for Ayagator to call this a day.
Maybe if Reject want to commit the resources to it, though, and that's always the fear. If you're not going to push 2 or 3 players to try and pinch him out, then he can stay here and just keep on taking that 1 versus 1 against you. Going to drop himself away here as well, maybe aware, or Salty at least is, that of course he's still held up there for now. Ayagator going down to Taka as he works his way in through Kitchen. Some good control being taken here by Reject.
Yep, good start for them. Anaton managing to find Salty though. That's the 0 down, and that is not good for this Reject push. We've got Take underneath, 1 nade left in hand. The first vertical one not finding any success. Window going to be sending in the Gemini decoy just to try and gain a little bit more information of what's going on inside the site. But you just feel like Reject are on the back foot here. They've got a minute left to go. They've not really got anything established in terms of a plant situation, so they need to start finding some kills. They're currently burning through utility, trying to go through that checklist and do those things, checking where men are positioned. But I'm not sure that a Sophia canister, the stun canister, went in deep enough to activate on the man behind the bunk beds. They might not be aware of his position.
Addison almost went down there as well. Of course, without the thermite, they can't open up the walk-in wardrobe breach. That's the big one. So gaming is now safe for the defenders to play in. Reject are really going to have to just strong arm their way through this one, I think. In through the windows, in through laser gates, you name it, and try and pick up a couple of kills. It's going to be a real frag fest, though, in these last 20 seconds.
It is. We've seen the laser gates getting re-energized, so that means more utility required. Black Ray is going to take down Window. Candy manages to get one, but finds himself all alone on White Stairs. The challengers come in. Cyclops are feeling brave. They're happy to rush him. Suzuki is going to be the one to find the kill, and that is going to be Cyclops taking 7 consecutive rounds to get this game back on track and to push themselves to victory against Reject, securing that 3rd place spot.
Absolutely. A big swing back again. You've always got to wait to see the second half of a game before you can count a team out. But those 2 rounds that they won in rounds 5 and 6 really, I think, got that spark going and helped them bounce things back. No change overall in our standings, then. It's just Fnatic are going to find themselves sat in 4th place, Cyclops in 3rd, and Reject will have to settle just below that in 6th.
They will, and that is going to round out our matches for today as well. And what a classic to finish. And the stage, what a belter to finish on. It was certainly entertaining. It was definitely a game of 2 halves, but Cyclops showing their quality to come through in the end. Our analysts are going to break that down in just a second. We'll have a short break, so don't you go anywhere, and then we'll round up the whole stage for you, because we're good like that. We'll see you soon.